Oh, we'd like to welcome everybody. We're doing the trauma and emotional healing, and this is week 4, releasing fear and anxiety. And if anybody thinks they don't have it, oh, you do, because I do. So,
So welcome everybody. It's an interesting energy today. I think everybody's feeling a little bit of an intensity. I think we're all feeling a little bit of overwhelm. It's just really interesting. So we had to do a little bit of a prayer before we started. This is a big topic. It's a really big topic, and it took a lot to narrow down exactly how we wanted to present. But let's go ahead and align and get started.
So make the statement, I am aligning myself with, and say your name. So I am aligning with Scott.
I am aligning with. I am aligning with. And I am aligning with. Now I see that there's one message. I just want to make sure everybody can hear us and we're good to go. And yes. Okay, great. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Let's get this going.
All right. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat. They've known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These people have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. This was written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Now we collectively came to overcome fear and learn how to control energy, especially emotional energy, because that's the most energetic, strongest energy in the universe, believe it or not. We humans have these emotions that are powerful. In the 3D, our outer world controls our emotional state. And we have to learn these lessons until we learn how to move the energy in a more positive fashion. Rather than going into negative emotions, we need to bring positive emotions, especially the emotion of love. Learning usually comes from struggle. And I know all of you have struggled with your lives, and so have I. And so we're at this point in our lives where we want to go to the 5D world, and our inner world is what guides our responses to the environment we're in now. And inner peace comes from intention and commitment to meditate, to pray, to think about love and forgiveness and happiness, joy and compassion. And so awareness of our emotions is very important. We need to be aware, and we need to make sure we keep our emotions more positive and let go of the ones that are not.
That's right. So we're going to do a checklist on trauma and anxiety and see if any of these apply to you specifically. The first one is, do you review your past experiences over and over? When we have a trauma response and this continued anxiety, we rewire the synaptic connections. Our brain remolds to that conditioning and bypasses critical thinking. And so when we do this over and over, it's because we have an unresolution. We have unfinished business or something that we don't feel complete with, and or we're trying to keep ourselves safe. There was some indicator or a perception of a lack of safety. And so playing this over and over is a way that our brain will check for opportunity to how we could do things differently or how we could be safer, because that's our brain's role, keeping us safe. The second one is, do you experience unidentified muscle pain? Now this is obviously, we've talked about this a bit before, but when we have blockage of the energy channels in our body and emotions that are stored in our body, these emotions are stored when there's intensity and it hasn't been released. And so it builds up in the tissue of the body. It builds up in the fascia of the body, actually. And so the tissue of our body we get tenderness that is really unidentified and hard to pinpoint a specific cause. And then, do you often try to control others and environment? I would say this would be my number one thing. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
I try to control my environment, and thank God I have a husband who understands that about me, but it's my way that I know that everybody who tries to control their environment, it's because we feel there is a lack of control in our inner world, where we don't have control about the circumstances around us. So we try to control everything around us, and that includes the people and the environment and the circumstances. People in my world know they have to notify me so that I'm prepared for upcoming. I'm not the kind of person who can just wing it. I actually do better when I have something, and I can be spontaneous, but I need to have the plans lined out. I need to have some level of personal control. And that's not always fun for everybody, but I recognize this is one of the areas that I falter in when I go into a trauma response. Now, sleep difficulty or fatigue during the day, we know that any form of trauma that was unresolved, or things that are just running our brain, you know how you've been sitting at those times where you may have been sitting at a desk for hours and you weren't really physically active, but you're exhausted, or even driving on the road, it's tiring because you have to keep alert and keep attention going. Whereas actual physical activity where you're moving the body rebuilds the energy rather than drains it often, unless you're working extendedly. But it's the sleep difficulty because our bodies are tired. It takes just like as a woman who is pregnant, and it takes a lot of the energy to create a baby, and it takes a lot of our energy to digest food. In fact, and in normal circumstances, digestion is our number one energy drain, because it takes a lot of energy to process our meal. But under trauma or stress, our attention on that really drains our energy conduits. We're fragmented and our energy gets very drained. Easily irritable. People get easily irritable when we have built up emotions that are unresolved. Oh, my husband and sneeze. Are you all right? So when we become irritable, it's because emotion is trying to release. We're trying to let it out and not necessarily have the tools to do so. Or do you frequently attempt to numb yourself? Now, this can be with sugar, chocolate, alcohol, recreational activities, anything that tries to numb the sensations of what's going on in the body, because it's too much. Our bodies, we don't even recognize how much we carry on that. And that too much, we're trying to numb the sensations that we're going through.
Now, when she talked about the fascia, it's true. Fascia is on every organ, and it can constrict the energy flow to that organ. And it's throughout our body. So, that's a true thing that's came out recently. Now, normal worry versus anxiety. Now, normal means you're living your life, you're doing good, your worry doesn't affect your activities, it's small and realistic, and it only lasts a short time, so it's not affecting you all the time. And it doesn't cause significant stress in your life. But when you have anxiety, I've seen people just with uncontrollable anxiety, and they can't stop being in that anxiety. In fact, if you try to talk them out of it, they get worse. And so it disrupts not only their life, but their life of people around them. And anxiety covers a wide variety of issues nearly daily, and it can be for months or even years that you have these anxiety disorders.
And the wide variety of issues really does apply when somebody says, what are you anxious about? You don't necessarily even have a way to identify. You could pick a couple of things about finances or something, but truthfully, it's really hard to pinpoint and identify because it becomes all-encompassing. Now, anxiety in today's world. I put today's world. However, these statistics are from 2018. This is prior to the pandemic. This is prior to the global shift that we're all going through, and these numbers are still astonishing. So in 2018, nearly 20% of US adults suffered from anxiety. That's much bigger now. It's a much bigger number, and they don't even really have a way to identify that, but it's actually tested around
50
to 60%.
50 to 60%.
Now, 25% of U.S. children ages 13 to 18 years old also suffer. Now, this is a much bigger number.
Yeah.
It's closer to 80%. And a lot of children are really struggling in today's world because they're overstimulated on electronics. They're being inundated with media and things that are where they're just a sense of safety is removed from their lives. Now, 6.8 million adults are diagnosed with a anxiety disorder. Women are 2 times more likely than men to be affected. Now, this still applies. Women are substantially more affected for a number of reasons. Hormone shifts are one of the reasons why. Women tend to be a little bit more in touch with their emotions and tend to be more empathic. So even men have that. They tend to block that historically. So I don't want to like box anybody in, but that's one of the reasons why women are a little bit more sensitive to these. And then 15 million U.S. adults have social anxiety disorder.
Remember, this is from 2018.
And
so
that's
it's
numbers,
a lot more
yeah.
now.
It's a lot bigger now because everybody's afraid to go in social circumstances because it's way bigger than just not feeling comfortable with somebody. Now it's an issue of life or death in the guise of the world. Although I know that many of you know it's much bigger than that.
So anxiety triggers. Believe it or not, caffeine hyperstimulates and wakes up the brain and can make you more alert, and it can trigger anxiety. So, watch the amount of caffeine you're ingesting. Women should only drink 1 cup of coffee max a day, believe it or not. Now, the bigger we are, the more we can do, but women have a liver half the size of most men. And the liver is where we get rid of the caffeine in our body. And so you need less caffeine. Men should not drink more than 2 cups. And a cup is 6 ounces. And it's not a 24 or 32 ouncer like we buy at the local coffee shops. Now, clutter and disorder also cause anxiety. So if we go in and our desk is not clean, I always have to clean up the kitchen before I even start breakfast. If there's stuff around, I have to clean it up because I get anxious even cooking breakfast without cleaning up.
By that you mean emptying the dishwasher.
Emptying the dishwasher. Yeah, usually
yes.
It's cleaned up, but
emptying the night before it's dishwasher in order to start.
And then so clutter and disorder. We talked about this last week, how important it is to clean up our space and make it more orderly. Social gatherings can be an anxiety trigger because you're around people and, now everybody's scared somebody's going to get something from somebody. We just have to replace those thoughts with better thoughts that my immune system is working perfectly, so I'm not going to get anything at this social gathering. Now, number 4, not enough sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, your anxiety level goes up. Last night, I did not sleep well, and so today, it's been interesting to see how much anxiety I've had today. And financial hardship can cause a lot of anxiety because you wonder if you're going to be able to pay for your home, or pay your rent, pay for food, pay your car payment. Financial hardship creates a lot of anxiety. And so we need to absolutely control what we consume, what we buy, and how big a home we're living in. Now, traumatic events can augment anxiety and cause it to be even worse. And so we need to be very careful how we react to different situations.
And that also includes watching the daily news and the little scroll around at the bottom of the screen. Even witnessing and reading about something raises the cortisol level and can cause us to have a higher blood pressure, and our heart rate goes up, breathing shifts, all of those things that puts us in that sympathetic state. So it's just something to be aware of. So the top symptoms of anxiety is avoiding social situations, sleep disturbances, uncontrolled worry. Again, we just have no way to control our environment, a constant feeling of stress, this just kind of a pit in the gut or this tension that just runs through the body, and an inability to concentrate when your brain is just hyperstimulated. It's overwired, it's overworked, and our brains really do get tired, and so our concentration level goes down. And then of course digestive issues. Now digestive issues, we all know that the gut-brain axis is the key axis to the whole body, and so when one of them is dysregulated, the other one is dysregulated. There's constant communication and chemicals that are being sent between these two. And so when we are hyperstimulated in the brain, it's telling the body it's not a time to digest food. As I mentioned before, it's the #1 energy source or energy use in the body. And so we need that vital energy to run, fight, or hide, according to our brain. And so our digestion gets dysregulated, and the biome shifts. It actually shifts the biome. So it does cause some issues with the digestion.
Now, trauma. It can be divided into two things, a simple trauma or a complex trauma. So we'll say simple is the big T, because it's a bigger issue because it's more traumatic. And it's frightening, disturbing, often life-threatening. And physical or sexual abuse can be in this, war, violence, accidents, injury, death, or loss of a loved one. Witnessing others have the big T can also be very traumatic to us, and a simple trauma, a big T. Now complex, or the small t, it's not quite as bad of anxiety, but it seems to perpetuate itself, and it's often prolonged, and it happens repeatedly. And we commonly just try to brush it under the rug and not think about it. But emotionally, it sets into our body, and verbal abuse is in this. Shame, blame and guilt, betrayal, rejection, chronic stress, a divorce, a loss of a job. These kind of things are small t's because they are prolonged. These add up and overwhelm our system.
That's right. So we can't talk about trauma and anxiety without addressing PTSD. Now, as you know, or as you may know, it was originally used regarding war veterans who would come home from the war, and they were having these symptoms of these trauma symptoms. And so it was originally just thought only war servicemen and women who served during war were receiving this. But we know that they're not alone. In today's world, many people have PTSD, and you can experience a traumatic event without PTSD. Now, you'll see down at the bottom, I have most sufferers have unresolved childhood trauma. This is the case where people who can have a traumatic experience and can self-regulate, and even though it affected them, they wouldn't necessarily have PTSD, and somebody who is a service member can experience these type of things and not necessarily have PTSD. And the key player with that is because the people who struggle the most with that have unresolved childhood trauma, typically. And but it can occur after experiencing or witnessing these pretty horrendous experiences. And just hearing things like the storming of the Capitol, or a looting experience, or a fire rushing out, or a pandemic where people are just lining the hospital hallways. All of this stuff really affects us because we wonder how it's going to affect our long-term life and how we're going to move forward with this. But this intense, disturbing thoughts, and including flashbacks, we're still trying to have resolution with it, and so our brain's just going back to that all the time. And as we've mentioned before, your brain is reliving it in real time. It's as if the experience is like Groundhog Day and happening over and over and over, which really it ages our cells, it drains our energy, it makes a lot of other health effects that we tend to work with. A lot of inflammation shows up during those times because our brain, again, is time travelers, and it doesn't communicate, and this is all in the subconscious, so we can't really talk our way out of it. So it's just something to look at regarding PTSD.
Now, the symptoms of PTSD, we can have very intrusive thoughts that come in and take over, and we can't do anything. These flashbacks, memories, and dreams of reliving the experience continually come over and over. And so we can't even function. So we go into avoidance, avoiding reminders or triggers to prevent thinking about what happened. Doesn't work very well, but avoidance is one of the things we'll do. Now, negative thoughts and emotions, it makes our other emotions even more amplified. And we get distorted beliefs about ourselves. We go into fear, shame, blame, and guilt. Symptoms of arousal, angry outbursts, reckless self-destructive behavior happens. And that's why we definitely need to take care of our problems with PTSD.
And the symptoms of arousal, I will also add, is our sensory, because we're trying to pay attention and go into safety mode. Under a sympathetic response, our pupils will dilate because we have to scope the area more. Our hearing becomes more acute. Our sense of touch becomes, the sounds, sight, every one of our senses gets way more enhanced in that sympathetic state because we're trying to survive.
Go ahead.
Now, I want to address talk therapy. I personally am not a huge fan of talk therapy for a number of reasons. It certainly serves its purpose, and there's amazing therapists out there. So I know that it has a purpose. If your therapist, if you work with a therapist, hopefully they use other tools rather than just talk therapy, because a talk therapy addresses through language. When you are in the conscious issues, you know something consciously, even if you say, okay, I have these flashbacks, I'm having PTSD. These are all conscious thoughts, and we're addressing the issues through language. But our subconscious, where all of this is stored, doesn't work through language. It works through emotion and energy. And so when we are addressing an issue, historically, on the couch and reliving an experience, it's as if it's happening again, and you've activated the sympathetic response, but you can't run, fight, or hide. And so you're triggering all the same chemicals in your body, and you're re-talking and rehashing, bringing up something from the past, reliving that experience, and as if you're going through it again. So unless you're using other tools, tapping is a really good one. There's the EMDR, there's a number of tools. That Psych K is another one that therapists will use, which is fantastic. But I feel that talk therapy, it's the best way to address that is when there's a behavior modification, when there's some kind of awareness or ways that we show up in the world that we can do a little bit of a shift. But under trauma or PTSD, it's not my favorite tool.
So our limbic system is where all these emotions get stored. And we're not capable of separation of time. So when we relive it, we feel like we're going through it right now, in the now. So you're always experiencing emotions in the present time. And don't process through language, because it doesn't help. I mean, it sometimes brings it back to you.
In other words, what you're saying is you can't just talk your way and say, okay, I'm addressing this, and this happened to me, these are the things that's going on, and somebody gives you some feedback, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm better now. Much like, two sisters can know, oh, what am I going to do about this situation? It's very, very different. We're not processing through language. You can't force yourself through it. You can't talk your way out of it. You have to look at it and address it.
Yeah, we're wired to survive traumatic events by fight, flight, or freezing, but we don't heal from them. So healing happens when we master our ability to self-regulate. That's the main way.
That is absolutely the key. I think you should say that one line again, because it is the key to this entire evening.
Healing happens when we master our ability to self-regulate.
Very good.
I made it through.
All right, so we're going to talk about the quantum field and our energy field. All of us have a torus, an energy field around us, in the wavelengths, and it's measurable. This is very measurable. Most of us recognize that we are energy beings. We're 99.999% energy and 0.00001% matter. But in a stress response, we are responding to our outer world. Our attention is on our outer world. And so all of that potentiality drops into matter, into form. So we know that all potentials exist in this field, but it's only accessible based upon our energy, based upon our frequency. And so as we expand, where we feel sense of safety, our heart will expand approximately 15 feet beyond us, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But our energy field expands into greater potential. And if you think that if there's a possibility that is within arm's reach of all of us, and we want access to that, if we are not a vibrational match, it doesn't exist for us. It doesn't exist in our realm, and it's not possible for us. We have to expand to a vibrational match and draw that in. So fear shrinks our energy. We constrict. We become, kind of like when somebody drops down into the fetal position in an extreme case. But fear is we're trying to protect our energy field, so we draw it in and keep it close to us. This removes this potential and this potential and this potential out of our realm, out of our reach. And so we have to remember the quantum field responds to our state of being, not our desires, our hopes, our wishes, or our prayers. It is a neutrality and is only a vibrational match. It is simply neutral, and we adjust according to how we are.
So fear is an acronym for getting every available resource. So when our brains get a fight or flight response, our brains are wired to get us away from it, or to hide, or to freeze. And so fear makes us not be able to even know what resources are available, because we can't even think when we're in fear. A perceived threat signals the body to run, fight, hide, or freeze. So over time, this response hijacks our logical thinking, and we go into survival mode. So healing and change requires that we stay in the present moment, and breathing is actually one of the best things we can do to get our fears under control and our anxiety under control.
That's right. So fear versus faith. Scott says this many times, and there is a lot of truth to it. Fear and faith cannot reside in the same room. It's because they're not a vibrational match. One overpowers the other based upon energy. So fear, it's very paralyzing. It constricts us. Our muscles become tense. We shrink our energy field in this fear base, like we said. Healing can't happen in the fear response. Your body's saying it's not a time to heal, it's time to run, fight, or hide. So all healing gets stopped. It gets like, nope, that's not the priority. The priority is to survive. And it limits our perception to truth, because we only can see what is a vibrational match and will reinforce what we believe. So if we have a belief that we are in a dangerous situation, we have a perception of something, our perception is only based upon our emotional state, and every other option is removed from our awareness. True. Now, in faith, we must have faith in order to believe in ourselves and others, to know that there is a potential for being different, is know that we can come out of this, that if we have the strength to endure something, we certainly have the strength to overcome the challenges that we were left with. It strengthens our divine connection. And when we have faith, we're building our intuitive nature. We're placing more attention on our inner world, our connection with divine. We're seeing truth as what it is rather than from our emotional state. And most of all, faith is a powerful catalyst to change.
And move forward. In my first book, I have a whole chapter about fear, and it's interesting because when we're in fear, we cannot move forward. And so we need to develop our faith so we can move forward and learn and become better. So when we're under stress, and
Here,
I'm under stress, you go ahead and do the example.
I can, okay. So, sorry, I was using me as an example because you have the clicker. But this is a tool that we like to use, and it's placing one hand over your heart and the other over your head. This brings alignment in the left and the right hemisphere, so it gives them permission to communicate. One gets blocked under trauma, and just breathe. Connect the heart and connect the brain into truth. This brings all of the energy into alignment, and once we get into a regulated state and we're a state of balance, then we can ask the question, what is this here to teach me? What is this about? And getting clarity when we're not in a dysregulated state is when things are going to become more clear. So the heart chakra, you see we're wearing green. This is the heart chakra. Actually, it's our favorite chakra because, in fact, when we first got married, I got Scott a bowl with the tune of the heart because of love. And it's the emotional power, love, hatred, grief, inability to forgive, self-centered, jealousy, compassion, healing of self and others, betrayal, and commitment are all the energies that are encompassing of the heart chakra. The sacred truth of the heart chakra is love is divine power.
Now the heart chakra can have two ways that we go at this. Now, emotional deficiency, we get a fear of rejection. So it makes us not want to do things because we're fearful of getting rejected by others. We get indecisive. We need others' approval even though we don't want to be around others because we don't want to be rejected. And we get a lot of self-pity. And we can be described as heartless because we don't want to hug others. We don't want to be around others. And so, that's a word. I don't like saying heartless because it means you don't have a heart, but that's what happens to us. Now, when we are balanced in our fourth chakra, we forgive ourselves and others. And we play with animals because we're not in fear. We serve with ease. We give service to others without worrying about being rejected or any of these other things. And we hug our loved ones and we hug the people around us. And then we can focus on gratitude, which is the ultimate receivership. And we can't do that when we're in an emotional deficiency with our heart.
So the heart chakra is the powerhouse of the human energy center. Now this is central between the body and spirit. We have our lower energy centers, the first three. These are survival. These are all for the survival in this physical world. Then in our physical level, we have the fifth, sixth, and seventh. So this is our spiritual connection, our identity of who we are. And so this central is the giver and the receiver center for love and processing life experiences. Everything is whether we have engaged in love or withdrawn love. That's what it comes right down to it. So this is the powerhouse for sure. And it's measured that when we have this healthy heart state, that our energy field can definitely be felt at least 15 feet beyond our body. Now this is because the measuring devices are only capable of picking that up, not necessarily because that's the limitation of the human experience.
Yeah, because our hearts, especially if we're vibrating in Christ consciousness, we can affect 1 million people, just us. So get in that Christ consciousness. So our breath and our nervous system, when we're in arousal and being abused, or we have anxiety and fear, we tend to breathe very shallow and smaller breaths. Or we even hold our breath and we don't breathe. We'll find ourselves going, oh geez, I'm not breathing. Slowing our breath down sends a message to the brain that we're safe again. And so by slowing our breathing, we can actually come out of the fight or flight. It clears out negative debris. And we tap into our innate intelligence by breathing slower, longer, deeper breaths. And it reduces the pain and our adaptability to the stress and fear.
That's right. So breath work, it lowers our blood pressure, boosts the energy and mood because we're oxygenating our brain. We're bringing more oxygen to the cells, slows the heart rate, calms our nervous system, improves our mind-body awareness, especially when we're paying attention to the breath, and reduces stress and anxiety.
If you think about it, all of these things, when they're happening, first thought that goes through your brain, oh, I need to go see a doctor, my blood pressure's too high. Oh, my energy and mood are horrible. Oh, my heart rate's too fast. You know, you think of going to the ER or the doctor when you have these things, and when your nervous system is all cluttered up and going crazy. And we need to come out of that through breath work. And even the military teaches these things.
So our tool for transformation is breath work. And we want to encourage this week, check in often on your breathing patterns. Are you shallow breathing with just a little bit, not even expanding the lungs? Or are they rapid breathing? Or even just holding your breath, even unknowingly. I know that I catch myself holding my breath for quite a lot. But if we increase our diaphragmatic breathing, we bring more oxygen to the cells and bring more attention down to these lower energy centers. When we slow our exhale, it tells our brain that we are safe because we're not running. We're slowing that exhale, so it's a regulator to the body and mind. But when we do a sharp exhale, like that, and constrict the diaphragm, that sharp exhale and pull up of the diaphragm pulls up and out the emotions of survival. And so there's teachers, Joe Dispenza is a great one, Wim Hof is another one. There's some great teachers of breath work. And the purpose specifically of Joe Dispenza is to bring up energy from these lower survival energy centers. And so as an example, a very simple way is just do a 6-second inhale. Now we don't always inhale for 6 seconds. That's not very common. It's usually about 2 or 3, but we're slowing things down. We're trying to regulate. So a 6-second inhale, then hold, and then an 8-second exhale. It takes a little bit of intention to do that. So we're extending the exhale and holding again because we are improving the sense of safety to our brain.
And breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, because that actually stimulates the parasympathetic system.
So box breathing, I kind of
Go ahead.
Okay, so box breathing, it resets normal breathing rhythm. It reduces stress. I'm going to talk about box breathing in just a second, but these are the things box breathing does. So it improves our mood, regulates breath, provides focus for your breathing, and removes attention from what is causing the stress and anxiety. Now this is used in our military. It's used with PTSD victims or people of survival victims. These are one of the techniques that any person can do. So I'm going to show you how to do box breathing, and it's a beautiful way that we can self-regulate. And I like this one. It's a focal point. Just like when a woman is in labor and when the contractions get very strong, they'll often have an external focal point. And this focal point is something that they can place their attention on and away from the sensations that they're having in their body. So go ahead. So box breathing, there's 4 steps to box breathing. The first step is on the inhale. So in your mind's eye, and I would really love it if all of you do this with me. So go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to walk you through this. Take a deep breath and close your eyes and visualize a box in your mind's eye. You see this box. And on the one side of the box, you're going to inhale for a count of 5. And as you inhale, you're going to watch and you're going to create an arrow that's climbing up the one side of the box, up from the bottom to the top on one side. On the inhale, counting from 1 to 5. Now you're counting from 1 to 5, you're inhaling at that same time, you're visualizing a box, and you're following an arrow. Each one of these things is placing our attention with intention. And it takes a while to have our attention stay with this, and it's going to take some time to practice. But it's free, and you can do it. just with a little bit of practice. So box breathing is a great technique. So inhale to the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to hold for a count of 5 as you go across the top of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going down the side of the box, going downward, again watching the arrow on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And during the pause between breath, again we're going to go down the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now again, you're going to just keep repeating the process, sometimes 8 to 15 times. But I promise you, you get better at it and it's easier to do. And when you have a stress response, you can drop into that very quickly, very easily without any external tools, and to go into box breathing. So I'm going to reiterate. Inhale, follow the box all the way around. So we're going to start on one side with the arrow. On the hold, you're going to go around the top. On the exhale, you go down the bottom, and on the pause, you go around to the bottom section. So you create a box with intention. So this is our little Layla. This is our dog that was a rescue. We love this dog. She's been really special, and isn't she cute? We love this little girl. We got this dog after we lost one a year earlier. And the loss was really a hard thing for our children to go through, specifically one of our daughters. Yes, and me. I love my animals very much. So we have this little dog, and a year ago, 4th of July, we went camping. And this is something that's an annual reunion of family and friends up in the mountains. It was really hot in the summer, so we were really grateful to get up and out of the heat, gather up with friends. We planned this for many, many months, getting ready. And we arrived, we took little Layla with us, and our whole family was there. And all of our friends were meeting, and we arrived at this ranch. And we get out of the vehicle, and my daughter hands me Layla, and we knew that there was another dog there that had a history of attacking other animals. And so we were a little cautious, but I was holding my dog. And the other dog came up, and I was protecting her, and the other dog was really friendly, actually sniffing her, and they were just connecting, and my dog didn't show any signs of fear. And so I thought, well, it looks like it's safe. So I set her down. She was on a leash and collar, but I set her down next to this other dog. And it looked fine for about 5 seconds. And instantly, without any warning whatsoever, that other dog jumped on our dog and did a kill bite, tore out her eye, severed her jugular, and tore her cheek. And I don't want to go into a lot of gory details, but it was awful. It was awful. And she was bleeding, and I was trying to hold things together. Our daughters were coming down. They could see blood all over me and her. Scott was not aware, and we were panicking because it was an evening on a holiday weekend. It was a Friday night, and we were a couple of hours from any kind of veterinary service, and at least 3.5 hours from our own vet. So we had to reach out and find an emergency vet, and we literally had been there 10 minutes. And so we scooped our kids up, we said hello and goodbye to everybody. We were crying, trying to keep her from bleeding out, and we found this emergency vet. And the story is, she's fine. She lost her eye, she recovered, he did stitches, everything was okay. But it was really hard on me. And the emotions of guilt that I hurt my baby and I couldn't protect her. And watching our daughter struggle so hard because she was so afraid of losing her, and she was crying like we couldn't even console her.
She had a panic attack.
Yeah, she was panicking, and I was trying to keep her safe. And just the guilt of all of that triggered a lot of anxiety in me. And it was within that next couple of months was awful for me. I had daily anxiety attacks, horrific anxiety attacks. I was worried about Scott dying. I was worried about my children dying. It was all encompassing. I felt so much guilt and so much sorrow that she suffered. And I felt responsible, that I should have done something different. So you play that in your head so much, trying to make peace with how things were and how you could have done things different. And why did you do it the way you did? And why did we even take her in the first place? All of the story around that really caused an emotional charge. And it took me very long time, probably about 5 or 6 months, to where I could regulate. And one of the helpful things, I have a magnification of this, but this is a breath straw. And I'm wearing one now, and I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but it looks like what's on the screen. And it's a little bamboo straw. And you could get 3 of these on Amazon as just breathing straw, bamboo breathing straw, for like $20. So they're really inexpensive. And I really use this a lot. And it can just look like a necklace. We can just wear it like this, or even tucked under your shirt. But with a breathing straw, you just simply place it in your mouth. You don't purse like you're drinking out of a straw or sipping out of a straw. You gently place your lips around the tip of the straw, and it focuses breath. It focuses and calms your breath, and you don't force it out. You just breathe through it, and it channels the breath through the straw. And it's a really simple, easy thing, inexpensive thing that was one of the best supports that I had when I was going through so much anxiety. So yes, she now only has one eye. Yes, she's fully recovered. Otherwise, she's adapted and she's safe, and we are very grateful that we have her. But the after effects of that traumatic experience affected all of us a great deal, and specifically me. So this is just a tool that I recommend.
And it slows your breathing down like we were showing. It controls your breathing and slows it down, and that brings us out of the panic and anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
So the oils, the essential oils are really good for fear and anxiety, are clove and lime. And you can put 2 drops in your hands and rub them together and breathe in the smell, and it actually will bring you out of anxiety and fear. And you can put it behind your ears or down your spine, and it calms the nervous system.
And people don't really think that clove and lime go together, because one of them is hot and one is a citrus. They go together. They're really delicious together, and they're super great right there on that bone as we go right down to the vagus nerve.
Yes. And you can diffuse it, and it does activate the parasympathetic nervous system, taking you out of fight or flight. Now, clove by itself regulates blood pressure, brings it down, causes your nerve damage to improve. It's anti-inflammatory and causes emotional balance. Lime is a mood enhancer of good moods, and it's good, makes good energy, and it reduces anxiety. It soothes tight muscles, because when we're in fight or flight, we're ready to go, but our muscles are tight and ready. And it improves your mental clarity as good as caffeine, but it doesn't have the side effects.
And I will say, I diffused clove and lime a lot in this week as we're preparing for this class.
That's why I felt better.
So in review, in trauma, we are in survival mode. We're trying to survive. It's automatic and hijacks the brain. But healing happens when we regulate our system and bring ourselves back into homeostasis. The goal is to be there as much as possible. Having breath work oxygenates the brain, pulls emotions from the lower energy center, and helps calm our system. So I think we got through a lot. This is a lot, but it's time for some Q&A. So I'm going to start at the top. Hello, everybody. So Susan, we really pray that you're safe with the hurricane that's coming through. We send lots of prayers. We ask that during the blessing that you do a protection for that.
Where's the hurricane at?
It's Tampa area.
Oh.
It's coming, and so clarify, but I think it's that Miami and Tampa area. So a lot of safety. So Susan, okay, she's prepared, but a huge storm surge. So we'll put that, Susan. We will focus on that as some of this healing work. Oh shoot, I hope everybody can hear, but let's see. It says your mic is off, but.
Oh, my mic is off?
Yeah, we got through that, but gosh, I guess you get to see the recording.
Oh,
So
goodness.
somebody is asking for tapping, and thank you. Okay, a review of tapping. I can do that. Yes, and the aggressive dog. So then you mentioned fight, flight, or freeze. I have also heard of the term collapse. Collapse falls in the fawn. Fawn is another term that is used, which
And
is
you can faint
yes, yeah.
and collapse.
Yeah,
Yes.
described as a state beyond freeze where the traumatic event is so physically overwhelming the nervous system shuts down and disassociates. Bridge through the disassociation. So how do you bridge through the disassociation to release those stuck emotions? Wow, I'll be honest, I don't know how to answer that. So when we have a trauma response, we go into, under the circumstances, we respond to what feels familiar for us. If we've had to battle ourselves before, or and believe there's a lot of layers to this, whether you're a water person or a wood person or an earth person from Chinese medicine, that affects that. Different signs affect that. When we've had to protect ourselves in different ways. A fawn is another way that I tend to fawn, by the way, is the run, fight, or hide. Fawning is when we try to make everything okay. We coat everything, make sure.
That's what I do.
Yes, he does. And I know I do that because my father was a very combative, angry, tyrant, and he was very physically abusive. He would come home and he was really physically abusive, and we were afraid of him. And so as children, when we would hear him, we would scramble and hurry up and clean as fast as we could because we didn't want anything to upset Dad. And so I grew into that nature where I try to coat and please everything, just keep everything very peaceful. So that's one of the things that I don't know how to answer that differently than that. But so bridging through the disassociation, go ahead.
I can answer that. You go get some defensive training, because when you learn how to protect yourself through either jujitsu or karate or one of these defense methods, it gives you more self-confidence, so that when something happens, instead of just freezing or fawning or falling down, you become an advocate against whatever's causing that problem, and you can actually defend others and yourself. So I found self-defense is a very good way to avoid going into that.
Okay, so yes, Amy is correct. Fawn is more of a relational trauma response versus shock. That is true. Okay, there isn't a specific question other than tapping. So
go ahead with tapping.
Tapping. So let's see, who was that? So Daphne, is there anxiety? We could work on anxiety. That would be a really good one since this is our topic. I'll go ahead and sit this down. So tapping again, as a recap, you can go back to the video and watch that again. So I'll do this a little quick.
From video 3.
Yeah, it was video 3.
Yeah, we did tapping last week.
Okay, I don't even remember. Okay, so tapping, we are going to identify the most pressing issue. Now again, this can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be a belief system. So we're going to address anxiety. And again, we're going to start on the karate chop point. This is the fleshy point. You started out with, you pick a reminder phrase. We'll use anxiety. So all of this anxiety. It could be just all of this anxiety. Then on the tapping point, we'll start that. But first we want to identify, we kind of identify the intensity level. And the purpose of this intensity level is to notice whether we've had a shift. So check in with yourself where you are in intensity. This would be really good for us too. So a check-in on the intensity of anxiety.
Between 0 and 10.
Yeah, so if say it's a 7, then as we're tapping, it may go up. It may go up to a 10 or a 9. And if it goes up, it will be because, most likely because an image came in your mind, a thought or an emotion showed up that triggered that enhancement. So the purpose of that is to just keep on tapping, keep on breathing, and it will dissipate. So shift back into the positive. You want it to be at least below a 4, around a 4 or less. So the most pressing issue is anxiety. We're going to tap on the side of the hand, the fleshy side of the hand. You'll do this with me and mirror me. And so we'll start with, even though I have all of this anxiety in my body.
Even though I have all this anxiety in my body.
And by the way, I hope you chose an intensity level. What is your level?
My level today with anxiety was an 8.
That's pretty strong.
So I've had a lot of anxiety today.
Okay. All right. Even though I have all of this anxiety.
Even though I have all this anxiety.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I feel anxiety in my body.
Even though I feel anxiety in my body.
It overwhelms me at times.
It overwhelms me at times.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I'm feeling anxiety running through my body.
Even though I'm feeling anxiety running through my body.
I'm open to seeing another way.
I'm open to seeing another way.
Because I love and accept myself anyway.
Because I love and accept myself anyway.
So we're going to go to the top of the eye, on the eyebrow point. All of this anxiety that I'm feeling.
All this anxiety that I'm feeling.
Side of the eye. It's overwhelming and distracting to my life.
It's overwhelming and distracting for my life.
Under the eye. I feel tension and it immobilizes me.
I feel tension and it immobilizes me.
Under the nose. So much anxiety.
So much anxiety.
Chin point. My belly feels heavy and tight.
My belly feels heavy and tight.
Down to the collarbone point. All of this anxiety in my body.
All this anxiety in my body.
Now we're going to go to under the arm and simply something like, it's overwhelming in my body.
It's overwhelming in my body.
Top of the head. I wish I could be different, but I don't know how.
I wish I could be different, but I don't know how.
And then back to the eyebrow point. Again, you can do either side. So much anxiety.
So much anxiety.
Side of the eye. It limits me from moving forward.
It limits me from moving forward.
Under the eye and holds me captive in my past.
Holds me captive in my past.
Under the nose. I struggle being around other people.
I struggle being around other people.
Chin. And I struggle making decisions where I feel safe.
I struggle making decisions even though I don't feel safe.
Collarbone. It's hard for me to feel safe in my body.
It's hard for me to feel safe in my body.
Under the arm. And if I could run from my body, I would, because it's so hard.
And if I could run from my body, I would, because it's so hard.
Top of the head. All of this anxiety.
All of this anxiety.
Call it the top of the eyebrow point. I wish it would be different.
I wish it would be different.
The side of the eye. I wish I could let it all go.
I wish I could let it all go.
Under the eye. I want to let it all go.
I want to let it all go.
Under the nose. I'm open to letting it all go.
I'm open to letting it all go.
Chin. All of this anxiety can leave my body.
All this anxiety can leave my body.
What if I could feel safe right now?
What if I could feel safe right now?
Under the arm. What if I could let it all go and trust that all is well?
What if I could let it all go and trust that all is well?
Top of the head. I'm open to these possibilities.
I am open to these possibilities.
Top of the eye. I have felt safe before.
I have felt safe before.
Side of the eye. I can perceive safety now.
I can perceive safety now.
Under the eye. And I can allow my body to relax.
And I can allow my body to relax.
Under the nose. I'm open to relaxing my body and letting it go.
I'm open to relaxing my body and letting it go.
Chin. Relaxing my body and letting it all go.
Relaxing my body and letting it all go.
I trust that all is well.
I trust that all is well.
Under the arm. All is well.
All is well.
Top of the head. All is well.
All is well.
Take a deep breath.
Boy, I'm down to a 4, so I'm doing better.
Good.
Probably should continue a little bit, make it a little further
Yeah,
down.
so that's
but
an example. You can bring in some positive ones starting at the top of the head. We'll just do a little bit. I've gone through a lot of things.
I've gone through a lot of things.
Top of the eye. And I've overcome a lot of things.
And I've overcome a lot of things.
Side of the eye. Even though there's a lot going on in the world.
Even though there's a lot going on in the world.
Under the eye. I know that I am safe.
I know that I am safe.
Under the nose. I know that I can create better.
I know that I can create better.
And I love my body for everything that it's doing for me.
And I love my body for everything it does for me.
Collarbone. I know that my body and mind are helping me.
I know that my body and mind are helping me.
Under the arm. And I know that all is well.
And I know that all is well.
Sending love to my body because I am at peace.
Sending love to my body because I am at peace.
Yeah, so just a little cleansing. And there's I feel better.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
down to
better.
a 3
Good.
now, so that's good.
All right. I think we're good. I think we're good. Go ahead and do the blessing. We're going to focus on the hurricane and protection above all.
Yes. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, the creator of the multiverse and the creator of all of us. We call forth the great divine director, who is the revealer of all truth, who commanded me to give blessings to all the humans on and off planet Earth. We call forth the angels, the archangels, to surround and protect us, especially from weather disturbances, especially from hurricanes and different tornadoes and things that are going on all around us. We bless you that your anxiety and fear will be taken away from you through your efforts of breathing and doing tapping and doing things that make you joyous and happy. We need to focus on happiness and being in love and breathing in the love of God into our hearts, minds, and souls. We bless you that your bodies will be calm and go into the parasympathetic nervous system and create an environment of love and peace, and that your bodies will make repairs and be able to rest and regenerate. We bless you all that fear and anxiety will be dissipated from your nervous system, from your limbic system, and from your subconscious. We bless you that you'll use these tools every day to remove fear and anxiety, and do it while you're being presented with this, and do the breathing exercises that will help release the trauma and the anxiety and fear. We bless you with health and strength, that your glands, your organs, your systems will function in a perfect state of bliss and happiness, that you will find yourselves happier and more full of joy and compassion. We bless you that your faith will increase, that you will believe in God, and God will increase your faith, and ask God to increase your faith, because God will help you with your faith and removing your fear and anxiety. We bless you all that you will be filled with the Holy Spirit, and you'll know the truth of what we are speaking about, and you will be able to bring these things into your life. Bring a deeper breathing into your life. Bring more tools in to assist you with getting rid of fear and anxiety. And we will be teaching more of these in the following weeks. We thank you for being here with us, and we thank you for your participation. And through that gratitude, you shall receive more, because gratitude is the ultimate emotion of receivership. We thank you for being here this evening, and we thank you for your time. We thank you for participating in these teachings, and we bless you that your fear and anxiety will depart from your bodies, especially your subconscious and your nervous system, and your minds will be at peace. Peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still. We seal these blessings upon you in the name of Yeshua ben Joseph and all the ascended beings of light and love, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, Elmoira, Saint Germain, Portia, Lady Nada, and the many other ascended beings, and all the seven Elohim and their twin flames. So be it, so it is.
Thank you, everybody. This was a big topic. We appreciate all of you. So next week is changing limiting beliefs. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time and send you all love.
Yep, we bless you to be safe from the hurricanes and tornadoes, because they come together.
That's right. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We love all of you.